French Polynesia is an overseas collectivity of France and its sole overseas country. It comprises 118 geographically dispersed islands and atolls stretching over more than 2,000 kilometers in the South Pacific Ocean. The total land area of French Polynesia is 4,167 square kilometers. French Polynesia is divided into 5 groups of islands. Among its 118 islands and atolls, 67 are inhabited. Tahiti, which is in the Society Islands group, is the most populous island, being home to nearly 69% of the population of French Polynesia as of 2017. Papeete, located on Tahiti, is the capital of French Polynesia. Although not an integral part of its territory, Clipperton Island was administered from French Polynesia until 2007. Hundreds of years after the Great Polynesian Migration, European explorers began traveling through the region, visiting the islands of French Polynesia on several occasions. Traders and whaling ships also visited. In 1842, the French took over the islands and established a French protectorate that they called Établissements Français d'Occitanie. In 1946, the EFO became an overseas territory under the Constitution of the French Fourth Republic, and Polynesians were granted the right to vote through citizenship. In 1957, the EFO were renamed French Polynesia. In 1983, French Polynesia became a member of the Pacific Community, a regional development organization. Since the 28th of March 2003, French Polynesia has been an overseas collectivity of the French Republic under the constitutional revision of Article 74, and later gained, with Law 2004-192 of the 27th of February 2004, an administrative autonomy, 2 symbolic manifestations of which are the title of the President of French Polynesia and its additional designation as an overseas country. Anthropologists and historians believe the Great Polynesian Migration commenced around 1500 BC as Austronesian peoples went on a journey using celestial navigation to find islands in the South Pacific Ocean. The first islands of French Polynesia to be settled were the Marquess Islands in about 200 BC. The Polynesians later ventured southwest and discovered the Society Islands around AD 300. European encounters began in 1521 when Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, sailing at the service of the Spanish crown, sighted Puka Puka in the Tuamotu Gambier archipelago. In 1606, another Spanish expedition under Pedro Fernández de Queiroz sailed through Polynesia, sighting an inhabited island on the 10th of February which they called Sagittaria, probably the island of Rakareka to the southeast of Tahiti. In 1722, Dutchman Jacob Roggeveen, while on an expedition sponsored by the Dutch West India Company, charted the location of 6 islands in the Tuamotu archipelago and 2 islands in the Society Islands, one of which was Bora Bora. British explorer Samuel Wallis became the first European navigator to visit Tahiti in 1767. French explorer Louis-Antoine de Bougainville also visited Tahiti in 1768. While British explorer James Cook arrived in 1769, Cook would stop in Tahiti again in 1773 during his second voyage to the Pacific, and once more in 1777 during his third and last voyage before being killed in Hawaii. In 1772, the Spanish Viceroy of Peru Don Manuel de Amat ordered a number of expeditions to Tahiti under the command of Domingo de Bonchia, who was the first European to explore all of the main islands beyond Tahiti. A short-lived Spanish settlement was created in 1774, and for a time some maps bore the name Isla de Amat after Viceroy Amat. Christian missions began with Spanish priests who stayed in Tahiti for a year. Protestants from the London Missionary Society settled permanently in Polynesia in 1797. King Pomer II of Tahiti was forced to flee to Moorea in 1803. He and his subjects were converted to Protestantism in 1812. French Catholic missionaries arrived on Tahiti in 1834. Their expulsion in 1836 caused France to send a gunboat in 1838. In 1842, Tahiti and Tahuta were declared a French protectorate, to allow Catholic missionaries to work undisturbed. The capital of Papeete was founded in 1843. In 1880, France annexed Tahiti, changing the status from that of a protectorate to that of a colony. The island groups were not officially united until the establishment of the French protectorate in 1889, after France declared a protectorate over Tahiti in 1840 and fought a war with Tahiti. The British and French signed the Jarnac Convention in 1847, declaring that the kingdoms of Raiatea, Wahine and Bora Bora were to remain independent from either powers and that no single chief was to be allowed to reign over the entire archipelago. France eventually broke the agreement, and the islands were annexed and became a colony in 1888 after many native resistances and conflicts called the Leeward's War, lasting until 1897. In the 1880s, France claimed the Tuamotu archipelago, which formerly belonged to the Pomare dynasty, without formally annexing it, having declared a protectorate over Ta.